Recording live in the Lucky Never 7 Lounge. This is Dine, Drink Vegas, the podcast that apparently has me all choked up. It's the podcast by and for everybody stuck at home, wishing they were in the land of neon lights and bad decisions. I'm your host, John, also known as the Baller on a Budget, and you have found episode 82, where we're going to bring you tasty booze and a whole lot of Vegas news. But we cannot jump into any of that premium, outstanding, best of all, free Las Vegas travel content until we make a certain introduction. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, we have got to bring in the founder of Dine, Drink Travel and Dine, Drink Vegas himself, the high roller formerly of the High Plains, the leader in the luxury lounge, the king of comps, the Alabama slammer, the man who is always waiting on that limo to take him away to his next luxurious resort destination. Of course, I mean Bill. Good evening, Bill. How in the world are you?
So, John, I have had a bit of a complicated week, and I am hoping that you can introduce me to a drink which might help soothe my pain.
Indeed I can. Now, before we get into this week's drink, I do want to make a show note. One of our regular listeners and a follower on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Chaplain Obvious, she was so kind as to recommend a cocktail for us. And I was not going to do it this week because I thought I was out of grenadine. Being a diabetic, I got to order some sugar-free grenadine. As I was rooting around for tonight's drink, I found my grenadine. So we could have made it, but Chaplain Obvious, thank you for the suggestion. We will get to your drink next week. This week, we have another sour variation, this time a gin-based one. This is the Gimlet. So, Bill, I take it you've never gimleted before.
I have gimleted many times. I have some thoughts about this particular recipe, though.
Okay, and I don't know where I found this recipe. I don't remember at this point. I think liquor.com. I know there are variations on this, but this is presented as basically a gin daisy or a gin sour, but more spirit forward, less sweetener, less of the lime juice. So here's the run sheet. 2.5 ounces of gin, only a half ounce of lime juice. Usually you'll have a full ounce in a sour, and only a half ounce of simple syrup. You put this into your cocktail strainer and with some ice, shake it up like it owes you money. Strain that sucker out into a chilled coupe, Nick and Nora, or martini glass and enjoy with a lime wheel, in my case, a dehydrated one. So, Bill, what did you do and how did this differ from previous Gimlet experiences?
So I did it exactly as it was listed, and it is very good. I like it very much. You and I have talked before on the show a whole lot of times. I prefer simple cocktails like this. Like, they make me happy. It doesn't take me a long time. I enjoy the flavors. I enjoyed very much the gin to lime ratio. I think the only change I would have made, and this is going to sound weird, I would have put in either, and I used regular simple syrup, I would have put in either more or less simple syrup, but not this amount.
Okay.
At more, you would have had a little bit of a sweet drink that would have been pleasant. At less, you would have had a tart sour drink. Here, it wasn't either of those things. And again, it's a drink I enjoy. I just think I would enjoy it more if it was either a little bit sweeter or a little bit more tart. So, John, how did it work out for you?
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What gin did you use and what proof is it bottled at?
Drumshambo gunpowder Irish gin, which is delicious. I don't know for sure, but I'm going to swear it's about an 80 proof.
Okay. So I went with Ford's, which is 90 proof. Most gins that people tend to buy are the 80 proof variety. I found the half ounce to be sufficient. And it's well balanced, but I have a little more horsepower in my gin. So I think, to take Bill's advice, if you're rocking with an 80 proofer, the half ounce may or may not do it for you. And then there's also the issue, is it a single sweet or a double sweet simple syrup? I'm using a sugar-free simple syrup, which I find to be too sweet most of the time. And I probably came up about a little shy of that half ounce. The other thing I did is I did the half ounce of lime juice, but I also put that half lime in my shaker, and I got a little lime pulp, a little lime zest. So mine's got a little more citrus to balance that sweetness. That might have helped me out a bit because mine is perfectly balanced.
What do you mean by a single or a double sweet simple syrup?
So, a basic simple syrup is a 1-to-1 ratio of the sugar of your choice and water, heated until the sugar dissolves thoroughly, and then you use it like that. But you can also go 2-to-1, where you have twice as much sugar to water, and then you only need half as much simple syrup.
Okay. No, fair. I learned a new thing tonight, and I thank you very much.
And I will say, if you ever see double simple in a recipe and you're using most simple, you got to adjust. The other thing I will say, Bill, I think this might have been lovely with honey.
I think honey would be delightful, and that is a thing that you get quite frequently here in Alabama at the grocery store, at farmers markets. We have a couple of honey. I don't know what the correct word is. Farmers, ranchers, people who raise honey, who go to church with us, and sometimes we'll sell it. When we're selling stuff. I think honey's almost always a good sweetener.
I agree. So I think we both like this drink. You would like yours a little less sweet. I will say, Bill, my backup drink, I did one on the rocks, but with even more gin. So it's almost like a limey gin old fashioned. It's a very different drink. Same 3 ingredients, just more gin, less of everything else. It's also delightful.
Delightful. John, before we move on to the news, I would like to go back to something you said earlier and thanking our listener, Chaplain Obvious. So, listeners, we appreciate so much your patience with us as we've grown as a podcast and figured stuff out. One of the places where it is particularly easy to interact with us, and we check all of the platforms as best we can, but if you want to respond directly to podcast, on YouTube Music, I've got a particularly robust ability to log in and interact with listeners. We genuinely love to hear what you have to say. We'd love to feature more of your thoughts and comments on future episodes. We are putting this out to add some value for you and would love to hear from more of you.
Absolutely. And if you have a drink of the day suggestion, we are all ears and livers.
Ha! Ears. We still have ears.
We still have ears. Yeah, the liver's not so much. All right, Bill, why don't you kick us off with a little news?
Well, because I was drinking right as you said that. I don't know if you knew this, John, but we just literally had a drink of the day. But having finished that,
we did. Okay.
Scott at Vital Vegas, who have we ever quoted him before, John?
A time or two.
All right. Well, Scott at Vital Vegas reported that Kennedy Lewis Investment Management is now the majority owner of the Rio, which has been run by Dreamscape since Caesar sold in 2019, though Dreamscape remains a minority owner. This change has led to changes in executive leadership, as one would expect, and at this time, it's unclear what impact this will have on day-to-day operations and the future of the property. So, John, you've wanted to go to Rio for a while. What are your thoughts?
So I do want to see how this changes things. I still want to stay at the Rio, but after our discussion about the Rewards Club at Treasure Island, I'm now locked into the next guy's trip I'm with you. It should be at Treasure Island, if for no other reason than as a video poker player. They want my money over there. They will reward my play over there, and I enjoy playing video poker in TI, but I still do want to hit up Rio. There's things there that catch my interest, but maybe we wait and see what shakes loose from this first.
Fair enough, then. I am curious about going to either of those places, how we get our friend Zero, to go there, as he is a huge fan of the M-Life rewards or Ecosphere. But frankly, the deals at either of those places, whether it's Rio or Treasure
TI,
Island.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Again, it's been a week. Whether it's Rio or TI, the deals are so cheap, I may just be like, screw it, dude. I will buy you a room. Let's go.
Well, I think the first time he gambles there, since the rewards are better, he'll find he gets even better value from TI, and that might switch his loyalty.
100%. Well, what else does Scott have to say, John?
So Scott, and I think this just broke today. We're recording this on Wednesday, April the 8th, I believe. Scott also shared that 80s icon Howard Jones is bringing his Things Can Only Get Better tour to Resorts World on July 26th with supporting acts Wang Chung and the English Beat. And if this news has you as excited as it has me, remember to take your Advil so your back hurt tomorrow morning, because you're probably a little long in the tooth.
One of the things I've noticed, John, about the different ways you and I approach Vegas is you get way more interested than I do in more of the like acts and shows and stuff. And I wish I had the level of culture that you do to do that. I in particular am battling the fact that I'm old, so I'm not sure I'm ready to go to this one.
Bill, are you telling me you're not ready to Wang Chung tonight?
Everybody can Wing Chun tonight, John.
Everybody have fun tonight. I mean, that's a show, Bill. Come on.
Well, as long as you would let me have like one, maybe two drinks before we went in, then fine.
Yeah, and you've been trying to get us to another trip on the North Strip, and this would get me into Resorts World.
I think that is outstanding. Well, in other news, Las Vegas locally shared that construction on the Las Vegas train station for the $21 billion Brightline West high-speed train project appears to be stalled and that no workers have been seen on the job site for about 2 weeks, according to multiple sources. So, John, what do you see as the actual future of train travel to Las Vegas?
So I would imagine there is a market for this in Southern California, although Scott over at Vital Vegas has said he thinks this is not going to happen. Of course, he said the same thing about the baseball stadium that is currently being built. So Scott's usually right, but he doesn't bat 1,000. I like the idea of train travel. I've talked before. I don't drive to Vegas. I don't drive in Vegas. When I vacation in Vegas, I fundamentally want zero adult responsibilities, and that includes the operation of a motor vehicle. So I would love it if there was a train that went from this far east back to Vegas. I would hop on that thing. That said, yeah, this does look like there's going to be some financial issues, and it could be the death knell of the project.
Well, I hope things work out because more people arriving in Las Vegas by train is fewer people arriving at that crowded Las Vegas airport.
Speaking of the airport, if train service doesn't happen or isn't your bag, there are some new airline options coming in. According to 8 News Now out of Las Vegas, Breeze Airways has launched flights on Wednesday and Sunday between Las Vegas and Lincoln, Nebraska, once the home of David Letterman's top 10 list. According to the Las Vegas Sun, next week, Southwest is launching daily service between Vegas and Santa Rosa in the Sonoma Valley for you wine fans. According to Air France, they are launching seasonal service 3 times a week between Paris and Vegas. So if you would like to go from the real Eiffel Tower to the miniature Vegas version, you can now do that more easily.
So I am always glad when people have more choices, John. I'm curious about where these planes are going to go, as you know, the Las Vegas airport seems pretty darn full now.
So there is that talk of they are going to build another airport out I guess, southwest of town that will be more aimed at local travelers to take the pressure off. But until that gets built, yeah, the airport does get a little crazy.
Huh. Well, again, choices are good, and I support people having choices, even if that choice is truly terrible, as is in our next story, where Las Vegas Weekly reports that a new exhibit of ancient Egyptian mummified animals called Soulful Creatures is open through September 15th at the Bellagio. And I'm seeing 2 different dates, September 15th, sometime in mid-September.
Yeah, it is the 13th, and I was sober when I typed this up, but dyslexia, yo.
You know, life is a thing, and it's fine. John, who's going to the Bellagio to walk through an exhibition of taxidermy, right? Like, is this like Egyptian rednecks? Like who's going to this?
History nerds, and I plan to work this into my trip this summer. I have not told my wife yet.
Does she listen to this podcast?
On occasion.
Huh. You might want to either have her not listen to this episode, or alternatively, just know that there's a trip to the jewelry store coming immediately before or after this.
Yeah, she does not have to go see the mummy. She can go stare at the beautiful glass display in the lobby. She can hang out in the conservatory. I will go to this when it is there, because I'm going to be there this summer. This is absolutely my bag. I am a history nerd. I love the ancient Near East, so, you know, yeah. Babylon, Egypt, anything in the Levant, that's my wheelhouse. Like Chaplain Obvious, I also have a degree in theology, so that part of the world is kind of my bag. So, yeah, I'm going to go see this.
But it's not mummies, it's mummified animals. I live in Alabama. I've been in houses where people have dead animals on the wall. Like, I could just go next door.
Yeah, but these have bandages. It's even better.
Oh, well, that makes it totally okay.
Well, Bill, if this is too historical, too cerebral, or too fancy for you, Las Vegas Weekly also reported that Clue X, a burlesque parody based on the classic board game Clue, and of course the 80s cult comedy movie of the same name based on the same board game, will run through April 25 at the Notoriety Live Theater. So, Bill, three questions. How do you feel about the board game Clue? Did you see the comedy back in the 80s? And do you have any interest in the adult version of either?
Like the board game, didn't see the comedy. I have now been to two burlesque shows in Vegas, both at the suggestion of our buddy Mike, one of which involved zombies and one of which involved our friend Zero taking his camera out and somehow not getting kicked out of the place.
Yeah.
So I may be done with my burlesque experience in Las Vegas.
Yeah, you and I, this just like no judgment to any listeners that are into the adult entertainment options in Las Vegas. You and I, A, are both pretty straight-laced Protestant prudish, and B, have both married women who we don't deserve and very much intend to keep them happy. So I don't think I go either.
Because we're better than they are, and somehow,
No, that's not how that works. I will say, if you want a good laugh, the Clue movie from the 80s, it's actually a fun watch. Tim Curry's in there. Christopher Lloyd, who's great in everything he ever does, is in there. Reverend Jim from Taxi, Doc from Back to the Future. It's an off-the-wall little comedy. It's worth looking up.
I appreciate that very much, and I will give it a look sometime soon. Well, it's my turn now. Yes, it is my turn now. Sorry, counting is hard. John, I don't think our listeners need to know the details. I will tell you the story after this. And Vegas Publicity reports that the following Vegas dining chefs and locations are nominated for a James Beard Award. First, Brian Howard of Sparrow and Wolf in Chinatown and Sarah Thompson of Casa Playa in Wynn, Las Vegas are both up for Best Chef Southwest. Modern Indian restaurant Tamba in Town Square is nominated for Best New Restaurant. Winners will be announced this June at a ceremony in Chicago. So, John, eventually the authorities catch up with you because we know that day is coming.
Yeah.
But before your execution, they let you eat at one of those three places. And because this is the way such things work, they're going to let you eat there in the restaurant to have the full experience. You've got one meal left. Which one do you go to?
Probably Sparrow and Wolf. That's been on my bucket list of Vegas fine dining steakhouses to get to in a while. It has a phenomenal reputation. I am toying with the idea of going there with my wife when we go in late June, early July. Although she tends to like places with a good happy hour where she and I can split 5 or 6 entrees. She'd rather do that than order a steak. So it may not happen, but that would be my first choice. And my second would be Tamba because I do listen to the Food and Loathing podcast, which if you are a food industry nerd and you really enjoy listening to people talk about chefs and waiters and bartenders, and talk a lot about local places that us tourists rarely go, it's a good listen. If you're mostly like, I'm going to stay mostly on the Strip or downtown, probably not for you, but they have talked about Tamba so many times that it's also on my list of Vegas places. But yeah, Sparrow and Wolf first, I think. Bill, what about you?
Tamba, and it's not close, partially because that's the sort of thing that I think I could get Rachel to go to with me. I think Rachel would enjoy going to Tamba. Listeners, if you don't know, I live in Alabama. My wife lives in Texas, in Johnstown. It's all really very complicated. I am the Vegas fan in the family, and sometimes she is nice enough to go with me. But I think Tamba would be one of those things which would appeal to her, and it just sounds different. But it's to the point, John, I think she was here the last couple of nights. She's actually now back in your town. But on Monday night here in Alabama, we went to Indian food because that was going to be a special treat. So for family reasons, I go to the Indian place.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And from what I understand, it will not be a mistake. So
excellent.
Can't fault you. All right. Well, multiple sources are saying that the Las Vegas Raiders have signed Kirk Cousins. And this week, he gave his first press conference. So, Bill, what do you think this says about drafting Fernando Mendoza?
So, I mean, I think Mendoza has got obviously a higher upside. I think that you've got to have more than one competent quarterback on your roster. I know there have been some rookies who've come out and been phenomenally successful, even at the quarterback position their first year. But gosh, if I had the chance, I would love to have a veteran on the team as my starter for the first year or two that the young hot gun is in, to teach him the game and to prevent him from being broken if the offensive line's not any good. So this sounds to me like a transitional move to either protect Mendoza as he develops, or to have somebody there if he just flames out or if he gets broken. How about you, John?
Yeah, I completely agree. If you read all the scouting reports, a lot of people think Mendoza, because of the style of offense he's played in throughout his college career, will be NFL ready. But this is the future of your franchise. Also, even if he is day one ready, quarterbacks miss games. So for Las Vegas to have a veteran who can be still a serviceable, not fantastic, but a serviceable starter in the league, in case you decide that you want to sit Mendoza for a part of the season or the whole season, or if he is ready to go early on, you've got somebody quality waiting in the wings if the unfortunate happens. I think this is a really smart move. My money is on Cousins starting the first 5 or 6 games. I do think we see Mendoza as the starter, if not at the beginning of the season, certainly by about the halfway point.
So this is one of the ways where the NFL and college ball have flipped over the last few years. It used to be that in college ball, you would have a perfectly good backup because he would know he could be the starter when the starter graduated. That's in an NIL era. That's no longer true in college ball. Now, it's easier for an NFL team to have a competent backup than it is for an elite level college team. Because if you're the second best quarterback at, let's say, Texas A&M, you can go start at New Mexico now. If you're Kirk Cousins, going to the Las Vegas Raiders and maybe starting, maybe being the backup is almost certainly the best deal you've got.
I don't know. I think there's probably a few franchises that would start Kirk Cousins. I think he realizes that this is going to work out either way. It's just a matter of, do you want to go be a starter for a team that's going to win 3 games this season, or possibly be part of a resurgent Las Vegas team? And at this stage in his career, he's a little long in the tooth. Build a legacy by coaching up whoever's going to be taking those snaps for the long haul.
That makes total sense. Well, in other news, legendary Texas singer-songwriter Ray Wiley Hubbard announced today that he will perform at the Golden Nugget in downtown on Sunday, December 6th, as part of Rodeo Week. Folks, if you have never been to Las Vegas for National Finals Rodeo Week, you are wrong, and you should absolutely go. It is the best week in town. And John, this is one of those I would absolutely go to because my God-fearing native Texas soul demands it. I know that you don't like authentic Texas country music, so I'll let you know how that show was.
No, I really want to go to this. I don't know that I can get the time in my calendar, but I really do want to go. Most people are only familiar with Ray Wiley Hubbard. If you're an older country music fan, Jerry Jeff Walker covered his song Up Against the Wall, Redneck Mother. It's been in a ton of TV shows and movies, but that is not even close to my favorite Ray Wiley Hubbard song. Before I reveal mine, Bill, what is your favorite Ray Wiley Hubbard song?
I don't know, and I should have been ready for this. Honestly, it's not about a particular piece of music. It's about soaking up the ambiance and the other people that I think are going to be there. And this would be one of those times I think I go in and I drink whatever the cheapest beer is they have on tap. And I commune with my fellow Texans.
I think that is a rock solid plan. I am torn between Mother Blues and Screw You, We're from Texas. Which he wrote that ironically. He didn't mean it, but some people don't get irony. But it is a nice little piece of songwriting.
Yeah, and it may become my new Alabama anthem.
Well, The Economist reported that while current Las Vegas visitor numbers are down, I'm just imagining you explaining Ray Wiley Hubbard to somebody from Alabama. He's making fun of me. Yes, he is. All right. It isn't because, excuse me, let's start over again. The Economist reported that while current Las Vegas visitor numbers are down, it isn't because of the spread of legalized gambling. Rather, as sports betting increases nationwide, more gamblers eventually want to try their luck in the capital of gaming. This is similar to when an increased interest in poker tournaments caused several Vegas casinos to reopen their poker rooms, a trend that's now sadly reversing. The nationwide comfort with sports betting has also resulted in several top-level sports teams coming to town. So, Bill, do you think spreading legalized gambling is good for Vegas?
So, initially, no, but now it's spread so far that I think it might be, because I buy the economist's argument that Vegas is still the mecca that they're going to want to go to. And this has kind of forced Vegas to diversify income streams. I think what Vegas has got to be careful of is not falling in the trap that we've talked on previous episodes, where they're spending so much time appealing to high-end gamblers that they lose the mass market who can darn well do what I do and just go to Biloxi instead. So I think Vegas has got a chance to capitalize on this. They've just got to not overreach for the top end of the market. What about you, John?
So I will say this. I live in a state where there is no legal form of sports betting. However, many online investment platforms have what they call prediction markets, which is a fancy way to say betting on sports. And I have been known to make a financial investment based on my prediction of future events, which, dear Attorney General of the state of Texas, is not gambling under current law. I got to say, it is not the same as going to the Vegas sports book. So I do agree. I think there is something about going to Vegas, hitting up the sports book, and then you go on about your night. And maybe you go have drinks at a bar, or go have dinner somewhere with TVs. Or if it's daytime sports ball, like Saturday afternoon college football, you go to the pool cabana with your TV. And
get sad all day long.
Well, that's if you're Bill. If you bet like me, you make money. But I think there's something about doing a little sports betting in Vegas that sports betting at home just won't. It just won't be the same. It's the same way that your odds on a lottery ticket and your odds on a slot machine are about the same. But sitting in your car, sadly scratching off a ticket with a quarter will never be as fun as being in a Vegas casino. It just won't.
You are absolutely correct. I will be interested to see how that actually bears out in the real world, but I'm willing to listen to their argument.
Yeah, me too.
So in absolute leader in the luxury lounge news, American Express has opened up a new lounge in the Las Vegas airport, and it will be open to the same customers who currently have access to the Centurion Lounge. The Sidecar Lounge features restaurant-style ordering in an upscale bar, and it's designed for small groups. What makes it different is that customers will only have access 90 minutes before flight departure. I'm excited, John. I want to go check this out and see what it has. I think my challenge is that the lines are so long to get into the Centurion Lounge now. I'm wondering how they manage those lines when people can really only be in there for 45 minutes anyway. I mean, that's not a rule, but if you can't get in till 90 minutes before flight departure, and you've got to be at your gate, at least 30 minutes before departure, then you've got 45 minutes or not much more to be in there. What do you think, John?
So I have never before had a credit card that gave me access to a lounge. So I have been in a lounge or two with you. I suspect Amex is doing this precisely to offload some of the traffic that you're raising, because they know they need more lounge space, and that's what this is. So hopefully this solves that exact problem. But I am now a Chase Sapphire holder, so while you figure this out with Amex, I'll be chilling over at the Sapphire Lounge.
Well,
to be clear, the Sapphire credit card lounge at the airport, not the other Sapphire Lounge in town. Be careful Googling things, people.
Yeah, don't go there anymore, John.
All right, we're going to close up tonight with a Vegas WTF twofer. So, story number one, according to 8 News Now, 3 employees at Binion's Casino on Fremont Street have been arrested for suspicion of skimming registers of $300,000 between 2022 and 2025. We will not name them until legal proceedings have concluded, because everyone deserves his or her day in court, and we don't want to say allegedly 50 times to avoid being sued. However, that does seem like a lot of money to take out of the cash register over a long time, and accomplices generally don't generally improve your chances of staying out of jail. Bill, any thoughts on skimming the till with your friends?
So, it is always wrong. However, if you're going to do it, the longer you keep doing it, I mean, your chances of getting caught go up geometrically.
That's what she said. Sorry.
If Binion's misses $100 one night, they probably don't notice it. I bet they notice the $300,000 is gone. And here's the thing. If you were to say, do something stupid, the dumbest thing you could do is be like, hey, Derek and Zero, come do this stupid thing with me and let's all do it. Because A, that's going to be more money going out of the till, and B, one of y'all is eventually going to talk. You can control what you say. You can't control what they say. So if this is the way this story bears out, yeah, it was the far end of stupid.
Yeah, I agree. And it probably started off as not that big a thing and flying under the radar. I'm a former cashier. I've never stolen from an employer, but I've seen coworkers get fired for this. It happens. But yeah, there's a lot of money, and it is really dumb to have friends that are committing crimes with you. Moral of the story is, if you're going to commit a crime, do it alone.
I have a confession to make live on the air, John.
Okay.
I did steal from an employer once. In the summer of 1995, while working at the Subway sandwich shop in San Angelo, Texas, I paid for the sandwich that I ate that night, and I paid the price they charged, but I put on 1 extra piece of bacon without authorization.
Oh, well, okay. I said I never stole money from an employer. The Golden Corral in Midland, Texas, which is now closed, may have lost quite a few gummy bears off the buffet every time I had to walk by.
I mean, you needed something to power you so you could deliver excellent service to your guest.
I did.
Yes. Well, in our last Vegas WTF story, because we appreciate the weird, wild, and wonderful, according to multiple outlets, a truck crashed into Main Street Hotel and Casino on Tuesday, April 7th, shortly before 1 p.m., going through the doors of one of the entries. There were no reported injuries somehow. And what makes this even weirder, John, because I read the same story you did, the driver was apparently sober. So if you're sober, how do you crash through the doors of a casino during daylight hours?
Yeah, I have no idea, but this goes back to my comment earlier. I don't want to give the impression that I never draw a sober breath in Vegas, because that's not true. But yeah, this is part of why I don't drive in Vegas, because there's a lot of other bad drivers on the road. I think you got to be very vigilant when you drive a car anywhere, but especially in Vegas. And I don't want the stress of worrying about what's going on around me in case people are, I don't know, plowing into random buildings. I just sit in the back of the Uber and just assume everything's going to work out for the best.
It's better that way. It really is.
Completely. On that note, Bill, I think it's time that we bring this episode in for a landing. So why don't you tell our listeners where they can find more outstanding Dine Drink Vegas and Dine Drink Travel content?
Folks, you can find us on YouTube at Dine Drink Vegas, where I bring you short and focused videos designed to help you plan your next trip to Vegas. Something like 5 or 10 minutes on a particular hotel room or a particular restaurant. You can also find us on Vegas at Dine Drink Travel, where I review my other trips, like my fun trips to Ireland. I got content on that last one coming up over the next couple of months, and things like the executive lounges in the Las Vegas airport. You can find me on essentially every social media platform at Dine Drink Travel. We respond to our comments on any podcast platform, and particularly robustly on YouTube Music. John, where can they find you?
I'm at X or Twitter at Dine Drink John, where I'm happy to talk to you about adult beverages, coffee, the fine art of barbecue, all things Las Vegas travel. Heck, I'll even talk travel in my lovely home state of Texas, and whatever news is coming out of the Dallas Cowboys this offseason. We know you have a lot of choices when it comes to listening to podcasts. We're so glad that you decided to listen to ours. Please help us grow an audience. If you have a friend planning a trip to Vegas, send them a link to this podcast. Mortal enemy that hates listening to old fat white guys drink and talk, send it to them too. Got a social media platform with nothing to put on your timeline? Post a link to us. When you do, you help us grow an audience, and that will help us keep coming back week after week, month after month, year after year with this amazing free Las Vegas content. Thank you once again for listening, and until the next episode, happy travels. Dude, I think this is my new gin for life.